back, everybody. It's another video here today about some new records that I found recently that I'm gonna have to move. Um, we're moving about 2,500 miles away here in a couple weeks, so this will be my last weekend with everything kind of packed. I'm gonna start packing records or finish packing records and CDs and some DVDs and miscellaneous stuff, books next weekend. So this will be my last weekend really to listen to my music here with a decent sound system and what have you. But it'll be a new adventure, and I'll keep you all posted. We're moving to area just south of Knoxville, Tennessee, close to the Smoky Mountains. Um, Presently, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so for those of you who don't know that, it'll be an interesting ride. But at any rate, some new records that I'll have to pack that came in the last week or so. I wanted to talk to you about one of which didn't, but there's a reason for that too. And again, thank you for taking some time to listen. If you like what you see, check the like box. It helps the algorithm, as they say, and subscribe. If you like it. I try to do a video once a week, once every 10 days. I'll do another before we leave, and probably one on the road between here and Eastern Tennessee. So thank you for taking some time to be here. Anyhow, on with the music. A really interesting record. Um, Pat Martino. I mean, we all know Pat Martino, hopefully. If you don't, find out, because he's a great guitarist, was a great guitarist. Um, this is a little bit different from most of the things that he's done. Pat grew up in Philadelphia and really was known in the beginning as a young guitarist with the kind of the soul sound, organ trios and organ quartets and stuff in and around Philadelphia and the East Coast. But he spread out and did a lot of other things that are just really enjoyable. This is a record that I found on Muse Records. Pretty much anything on Muse Records is going to be pretty good. Their recording quality and the vinyl, if you can find a mint copy like this, is very quiet. Um, they're uh, they're uh, they're not they're around, but they're hard to getting harder to find, especially good quality stuff. This record's called "We'll Be Together Again." It's Muse 5090. Um, this is kind of a solo album. It's a duo album, really. Pat Martino and Gil Goldstein. Gil Goldstein's a pianist out of New York City. I first heard of Gil Goldstein when he did some recording with Pat Metheny on Secret Story. But good pianist, tasty pianist, good sounding, good. Really lays down some nice backgrounds for Pat. And it's a laid back record. It's kind of almost a ballad record. We'll Be Together Again is the title. It's a great tune. Send in the Clouds, Dreamsville, some other great ballads. And Pat really plays very soulfully on this. Very different from most Pat Martino records. But please check it out. Pat had an interesting life. He had a brain aneurysm, I think around 19. I think around 19, I want to say 1980, but I think it was later than that. And he forgot everything. He had amnesia. Woke up, didn't have any memory at all. Listened to his playing and recreated his sound and his playing. There's a book about Pat out that I have. I probably should have here, but it's if you go to Amazon and just type in Pat Martino book, it's kind of an autobiography about his life. It's very inspiring. But this is a great record. We'll Be Together Again, Pat Martino on Muse Records. Really good record. I don't know whether this was a record store day record or not. I don't remember where this came in, but I found it in my new record bin this week and finally opened it and listened to it. It's a record called Solar. It's the Red Garland Trio. Um, Actually, it's a quartet. And, it's an interesting record. Um, Red Garland on piano, Les Spann on guitar, and he plays flute on two cuts on this. Uh, Sam Jones, of course, on bass, Frankie Gant on drums. Frankie did a lot of work for a while and then kind of disappeared. I don't quite know what happened. A good player. It's a good group. Um, the recording of this is done on Honey Pie Records. I don't know the original. I can't remember the original label this came out on. It might have been Prestige, but this is a reissue out of Honey Pie Records, which I believe is a record label out of Europe. The vinyl, I'll tell you, when I took this out, I was a little disappointed because there were strings of vinyl hanging down from the sides. And the edges here, you got to be careful. You almost want to cut yourself. It's so sharp. Whoever did this pressing, it really did, I think, a lousy job. There's some scuffs on here, and maybe I just got a bad copy. This was packed in paper, and maybe in transport it rubbed or I don't know, whatever. It sounds okay. I cleaned it up, peeled off the sides. Sounds okay, heavy, good quality vinyl, and it's fairly quiet. It was pretty scuffed up, and that stuff hanging down shouldn't be that way. You get a recording out of RTI or Palace or some of these other really good people, you never see that. The quality of whoever pressed this, I think, is not up to speed. Musically, it's really good. There are 8 cuts on here, and they both go about 4 to 5 minutes apiece. I think there's 1 and 3. But it's really a good record, and to hear Les Spann on flute really, I think, adds a lot to this record. Recording-wise, it's not one of Red's better recordings. That's why I'm not sure if Prestige did it. I think they would have done a better job. Or maybe somebody remixed this. It was recorded at Plaza Sound in New York, so it's a good studio. But you can hardly hear the rhythm section, and you can hear Red really well, but the bass and drums are way in the background. I'm gonna have to look into who did the recording on this. Red sounds great. The music is great. Recording quality, because of the sound of the drums and the bass, isn't good. But it's something that if you're a Red Garland fan like me, you want to have in your library. Red really plays well on this. This was I think done back in the '60s. It doesn't say on here, but it was right around the time that Red left Miles Davis. They didn't quite get along for a while. I think they made peace later in life, but it's a good record. Red plays great on this, and it's worth having. I've seen it around in Groove. Acoustic Sounds, I think, has it. But check it out. If you like Red Garland, it's a must-have. Of course, Wayne Shorter passed, and there's been many tributes to Wayne, so I'm not going to go into that again. It's a big loss. But, in life, it happens, and it's going to happen more. And I tell you, as you get older, boy, you really realize your mortality. This is a really good Wayne Shorter recording. This is a tone poet, of course, called etc. However it's right. Cecil McBee is on bass on this. The great Joe Chambers, very underrated drummer, is on this. Great player. And of course Herbie on piano and Wayne on tenor and on this. And I think this is one of Wayne's best records. This is actually recorded back, I believe, it was released in 1980, and I think it was recorded back in 1965, if I remember right. Um, and they never released it. They released it in 1980, and of course, this Tone Poet was reissued in 2019, and it's Kevin Gray, lacquer, and cut, and an RTI pressed Tone Poet. I'm not going to go into, the quality of Tone Poets; they're all good. But R.I.P. Wayne. Um, we all know some of the more popular Wayne Shorter records. This is getting a little bit hard to find as Tone Poets disappear for a while. They'll probably get repressed at some point. But if you can find this, pick it up. It's a really great record. Very artistic writing, great tunes. Wayne was, I think, every bit as good a composer as he was a player. This came in yesterday. I bought this from Mazzy. If you don't listen to Mazzy's channel, I'm sure you all do, as you should. I bought this on auction last weekend. Mazzy ran an auction. And, it's a really good record. And, I'm a Phil Woods fan. I've still got one more Phil Woods segment to do here on the channel. And I'm going to do that in a week or two, maybe 3. I might wait till I get to Tennessee. But Phil's on this record. It's called Jazz Alive, A Night at the Half Note. It's a club in New York, the corner of Hudson and St. Mark's Place, back in the 50s and 60s. This is a Toshiba repress, a Japanese repress. Really sounds really good. The horn players do. Anyhow, I'll get into that in a minute. Zoot Sims and Al Cohen did a lot of records together, and on side 1 they play together with Paul Motian on drums, a bass player, Natil Toha, on bass. I don't know too much about him. I know he was on the scene for a while in the 50s and 60s. I think he went on to teach somewhere and kind of disappeared from the scene, but the interesting thing is Mose Allison, that we all know for his vocals, plays piano on this. He's an okay player, lays down some nice chords, but I don't think he certainly is not a Red Garland. He's not a Wynton Kelly. He's not a, go right down a list, Cedar Walton. He's not in that category. Why they used him on this, I don't know. He just lays down chords okay, plays okay, nothing earth-shattering on this. But, he does what he's supposed to do. Motion on drums really drives this band. Bass player is, again, I don't know him. His playing on here is average at best. The rhythm section is really not strong on here at all. But, of course, Al Cohen and Zoot Sims, man, they play great on here. And on side 2, they're joined by Phil Woods. And they play a great version of Wee Dot, the bebop tune, and After You've Gone. Phil plays really well on this. The recording, the Toshiba reissue, is really amazingly good. It's very, very, very good. If you could find this, it's highly recommended. I bought this from Mazzy. Mazzy runs these auctions once a month, I guess. I don't know. And his stuff is just as he says it is. It's all good quality. Prices are fair. They're not cheap. They're not expensive. And that's really all I ask of people who sell records to sell. If it's a VG plus, let it be a VG plus. If it's a near mint, let it be a near mint. And and Massey does a great job on this. I know Ron the Wax helps him out on this as well. They do a great job. So next time you see an auction, check it out. You'll find some really good stuff. Massey has an incredible library. And a great record. Thank you, Massey, for selling me this. It's a great addition. I'm a Phil Woods nut, and I love Al Cohen's and Sims, so you can't really go by on this. This is this is a Japanese reissue. United Artists was the original company. It says Liberty on there. United Artists Liberty. United Artists had a lot of good jazz players. A lot of people don't know that, and recording wise, they're all pretty good. Um, the only problem I have on this, the rhythm section is really weak. It's just not. I think they could have done better. I'd love to hear this band with a more substantial rhythm section. Motion plays good. The piano. Mo's is not a pianist. He's a singer, and a good singer. But you know, but it's a good record. You know, this I just bought a new copy of. I had an old Columbia copy of it. But this is around, and if you watch this today or this week and you have any interest in this record, I would go ahead and try to find it. I know the In Groove has them. I would assume Acoustic has them, but in fact, I just sent for another copy. I just bought another copy of this from the In Groove. They have them in stock. This is a record that is, we all know about Miles's Four and More record that was done in 1965. And there's a lot of stories about that record. It's Miles with Herbie and Ron and Tony Williams. George Coleman plays tenor on here and plays really well. So they made this record and they called it Four and More, and those were really up-tempo tunes. Seven Steps to Heaven's on there. Just a lot of Miles's Autumn Leaves. A lot of more up-tempo stuff is on here. The kind of the laid-back, kind of medium groove tunes were put on a record called My Funny Valentine. Same night of recording, same band, same place, same everything, but a different because of the length of the tunes. They couldn't fit them all on one record, so they made two. One's called Four or More, the other is called My Funny Valentine. It's done in concert at Philharmonic Hall. It was a benefit for the NAACP and some other organizations. The story is that the band got a little bit pissed off at Miles because right before they went on, Miles told them they weren't getting paid and their money was going to donate to the cause. So the story is that they were all not happy about that and that fired them up to play. And man, they played really well on this. The other story is that they didn't think it was a great night until they listened to the tapes. And then when they listened to the tapes, it turned out to be great. This is Herbie Hancock's first recording in Philharmonic Hall back in 1965. Four and More and My Funny Valentine are must-haves. If I could only keep 3 records, this would be one of the 3 I keep. It's a great, great, great recording. And this is the Mobile Fidelity recording of this. And it was out of print for a while. The prices went through the roof. And it's a repress, and they're back. They're back. Buy this record before it goes away again. Before it got reprinted, I saw these on the market for over $200 in mint condition. The price is was very high on this. It's about a little under a $40 record right now on a Mobile Fidelity. Of course, we all know that's Mobile did a great job on Miles. All Mobile Fidelity Miles's records are really, really good. But pick this up. It's numbered. This is number 6009. I don't know how many they pressed. I'm going to guess maybe they pressed 10,000. But it's a numbered. Let me show you. It's a numbered record here in the back. Mobile Fidelity, My Funny Valentine, Miles in Concert. Find this record. It's around now. It's not going to be around too much longer. Check out the In Groove. They have them in stock. And then finally, a record that I've got copies of these. This is going to get opened up tonight. I've got the originals that were done back in the late 50s. Eddie Lockjaw Davis with Shirley Scott, the legendary Prestige Cookbook Records. There's 3 of those and then another 4th recording. This is a repress by Kraft. The book in here I've seen on their website. It's amazing. Big thick book, pictures, text. But man, musically, I can't wait to listen to this tonight. Again, I know it's going to sound a lot better than the copies I have. The copies that are around are kind of beat up because they just were played as background music all over the place, and it's hard to find good copies of these. The ones I have are okay; they're not great musically. They're wonderful. Shirley Scott on organ, very underrated organist. Was married to Stanley Turrentine for a while, but did these recordings with Eddie Lockro Davis. We all know Eddie Lockro Davis from the Count Basie Band and some other groups, but mainly the Basie Band. He was the featured tenor soloist on the Basie Band for many, many, many years. Um, but he did these records with Shirley Scott kind of before that organ tenor type sound became popular on Atlantic for the most part. You know, in the late '60s, mid to late '60s, Willis Jackson, uh, even Gene Ammons did some things with on Prestige. But at any rate, Shirley Scott's a very underrated organist. You know, she could really wail and play like a Jimmy Smith, you know, or a McDuff or uh, one of those cats. But she just lays down background and plays very tastefully and doesn't show off her skills as much as I think she should or could on these records. But man, she just does it. She plays really well. Um, this is called Eddie Lockjaw Davis with Shirley Scott, Cooking with Jaws and the Queen. Um, it's on Kraft Records. And I don't know if they're available outside of Kraft Records on their website. I'm sure they are. I'm sure the In Groove has them and other folks. Um, but I can't wait to hear this tonight. There's 4 records. It's about $125 purchase. But, you know, divide that by 4, you know, that's, you know, $30 a record, which is not bad. And just really, really, really done well. They're the reissues of the Prestige, of course, cookbook series, and another record called Smokin', with Eddie Lockjaw Davis and Shirley Scott. Please do yourself a favor and get this. This is limited to 5,000 press of 5,000, so they're going to go fast on Kraft Records. Bernie Grunman did the mastering on this, so you know what it's going to sound like. Well, that's about it for now. I'll try to do another video here before we put a put a nail in things from this current location. I'll probably do another one next week, and then it's Pack City, and we're out of here. So, wish me luck, and thank you for being here. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you.